wait 5 more minutes. This is how to create the session and what are the session techniques, what is the use of session affinities, what is the session persistent, what is the sticky session. We will tell each and every step clearly. Okay, how to enable the sessions, how to database failure sessions, we will tell clearly in this. Okay, this is our agenda. WebSphere application server and session management. What is the local session? What is the persistent mechanism? What is the database persistent and memory to memory replication? Okay, like that we will see in practicals one by one. First of all, myself Ganesh. Today we will discuss about session management. What is the use of session management? How to create the sessions, what is the cookies, how to enable the cookies, what is the session timeout, what is the cookie session timeout. We will see in detail one by one. This is session. Okay, this is session. Browser, we have sent a browser. This is the user. I have a browser, open the browser and type www.google.com, some other URLs. It will create session ID 123 as a session ID and pass to the server. Server fetches the data like this. ABC in the 123 consists of counter number 3. What is the age? What is the salary? It will communicated in the session. Default session is 30 minutes. Okay, we will say in JSession ID in plugin cfg.xml. We will see. Wait one more minute. We will see J session ID here, clone ID here. This is plugin cfg.xml. In the plugin cfg.xml consists of port numbers, J session ID, clone ID, port numbers, cluster members. Everything will be written here. Load balancer, timeout, wait timeout, handshaking. This is the clone ID. Based on the J session ID and clone ID, request will move to the particular server. If you down the server, automatically request will move to the another server by using memory persistence. In the memory persistence, it will occurs like this. Affinity cookie J session ID. J session ID comes in the test cluster. In the cluster consists of, there are so many members. In the member, one member is down, the session ID moves to another member simultaneously without delay. This is the affinity URL identify J session ID. Okay, like this. Identify request is identified J session ID, moves to the another server simultaneously without delay, without timeout. Okay, simultaneously based on the timeout, based on the session timeout. J session ID, find up. See the plugins. This is the timeout of the server. IO timeout. Each server have 900 milliseconds. Wait for continue is false. If it true means it will goes to another. See retry interval, refresh interval, everything will be there. Retry server IO timeout, retry within if a server is go down, it will again after millisecond, after 60 seconds it will go to continue like this. What is the limit? 1, buffer timeout 0, like this. Session IO timeout is most important. Definitely request is true. Okay, what is session affinity? What is the use of session affinity? What is the persistence? What is the use of the persistence? We will do. What is the session persistence? What is the use? What is the session affinity? What is the cookies? We will see one by one. See, this is the session affinity. How to use session affinity? Application server handles first client request and generate one session ID like this. We will see the session ID. See, client send request to the server. It will create here user data page. It will go to the server side. It will store the session like this. This is the session. Already developers write the code like this. Session user ID is equal to session server data store 5. This is the data 5 and user ID. You will create like this session ID. The session ID have user ID. In the user ID have user data like this. It will retrieve like this. In this is the one. This is second server data store like this, and request to go to the code, application code, and communicated with the database, application database like this, and request to the personalized page and retrieve the code, release the response like this. client and server side response like this. Client send a request to the browser server. We have to create the session and place the cookies. In the cookie, whenever the browser close the browser, it will automatically cookies is destroy. Cookie stored on the browser and session stored on the server side. Session timeout is 30 minutes. This is the request flow architecture. This is client 1, this is client 2. Send a request to the server, suppose XXX session ID, and send the request session data store in the database. In the session ID consists of user ID and the username, sector and the salary. What is the status? It will be shown in the session ID. Session ID stored in the database and the cookie stored in the browser. Okay, like this, and the KB is stored in the cookies. Okay, this is the cookie. These are the placed under the cookie. Okay, only default session timeout is 30 minutes. See, this is user ID 71823456. User ID randomly generated in the application based on the requirement. This is my name. This is Rohan, some other name. ID and the salary is some other like this. Finish the request and the response like this. Some other send request. This is Rohan Suhas. Enter request to the server. Get a response like this based on the session ID. This is session ID. Following how to identify the sessions. For identify the recovery of session data, routing the information to ensure all requests to session always route to the same application server. Suppose this is all requests sent to the application server. Any request sent to the application server like this. Default session affinity is enabled in the load balancer group. Load balancer side session affinity is always enabled. For WebSphere application server end, load balancer uses session affinity information provide application server. If not, application server configure must should be session affinity. What is like this? Session ID. What is the session persistence? In the session persistence consists of application server level, it has memory level. Suppose this is my cluster. In the cluster consists of 2 members, 3 members. One member is down, automatically request goes to another member simultaneously. This is nothing but a cluster, and this is nothing but a failover control. Like this, session ID. This session ID consists of request passed to the cluster. In the cluster member have 3 members. Cluster 1 server have down. The session ID passed to another server member simultaneously without a delay. Response without a delay. Suppose paint, I will write the structure. See, this is user 1, user 2, user 3. I have 3 application servers. This is the cluster. This is application servers. This is my application servers. This is database. This is another database, replica database. Base with limited functionalities. Original database. Server 1, server 2, server 3. Okay, this is db2 assume db2 server 1. This is client or end user 1. Client or end user 2. Client or end user 3. Okay, suppose I am typing // youtube.com. Okay, here // gmail.com, // facebook.com or ICICI bank.com, some other client. Open these browsers. Okay, like that. Assume like this. Request, response, request, session ID. Here suppose in case this is down due to some reasons, request will move to this simultaneously. Request will go simultaneously. Okay, request will go simultaneously based on the round robin algorithm. Based on this round robin algorithm, Based on the round robin algorithm, request will suppose one server is down, request will move to the another server by simultaneously without a delay. Here session here, suppose client enters www.youtube.com, it will create one session id and pass the session id to the cluster members. In the cluster members, whatever server is availability or not checking. Based on the server availability, it will goes to the session id to the database and fetch the data into the JSession id format. And the JSession id consists of, this is the data like this, session data. It will store it in the table format like this. The session id consists of, suppose, user id and username and sector and salary like this. Data stored in the session, data stored in the database, and a request to move to the request and response simultaneously in the response session id like this. This is the nothing but round robin algorithm act like this. Okay, in the server consists of application code and application code build and developers give to the middleware team. It will deploy and ER file or WAR file, some zip files. In the zip file already written code like this, user data and response like this. Like this, application developers give the data to the middleware team. We deploy the ER file and user, whenever user sender request session id is equal to 5, check the user data page and goes to the server database. It will fetch the data and interact with the application code and check the application database, it is availability or not. Based on this, it will retrieve the user id like this, HTTP hypertext transfer protocol. Okay, like this, it will interact the sessions like this. This is nothing but memory replica like this. Whenever server is down, request will move to the another application server in the by using session id format. Based on the round robin algorithm, we will configure in the round robin algorithm. We will configure in the clusters. One member is down, automatically request will move to the other server simultaneously through session id format. Okay, this is the memory replica. This is one way to achieve. See, if you lose a node from a cluster, it will request move to the served by another cluster member simultaneously through session id. This is the session persistence. Memory replica is only one way to achieve the session persistence. What is the sticky session? Nothing but a persistence. Sticky session function performed load balancer level to initial connection established and based on the many different criteria. Initial connection made all subsequent requests, length of a session and what are the exact session active, what are the in the load balancer level. You have to mention the criteria in the connection pool, how much connections are available, what are the connection timeout, and everything is mentioned in the load balancer level. This is nothing but sticky sessions. What is the difference between session affinity, session persistence, session affinity like this? Keep your session live in the application server. That your session information consists of session id. In the session id consists of user id, username, and whatever user. Okay, based on the user confirmation like this. There are three categories, all completely separate functionality in this application server level. To achieve the user memory replica means one member is down, we have to use another member simultaneously without delay through session id. Say your active session is replicated memory cluster member. If you lose one of the member, it will serve another request simultaneously through memory replica. We will see in detail one by one. this is say suppose this is the HTTP session. Okay, suppose developers write the code in the code page, suppose like this. Suppose see, developers code like this. Something it write like this. You got HTTP code and assign some method like this, cookie dot like this. Varchar cookie means varchar and HTTP cookie. Okay, some method it will write cookie dot enable is equal to true when request is enabled. Cookie dot timeout is equal to window dot close. Window dot close means browser. When browser is closed, automatically it will close. Session 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 HTTP session is equal to new session. It will create. Okay, session dot timeout is equal to 30 minutes. Okay, after that session dot close, it will return like this. Okay, timeout timer. After that session is closed. After that window dot login, in this it will return. Suppose browser is a client to open browser, ICICI dot bank ICICI bank.com slash login. It will display like this. User write code like this. Here also like this. User write like code. Developers write code like this. This is stored under browser level. Stored under server level. Means application server level. This is written in the code page. This developers actually written like this. Window dot login, window dot re-login or login. First check this, like this, check like this, like something based on the requirement they create like this. Cookie dot enable, session dot timeout is 30 minutes, session dot close, and window dot re-login, and like this. And after that, before that, we will write one message. Echo. like this. After that, it will display a message like this. Like this, it will window dot relog, it will display a message like this. After the timeout, session timeout is completed, please relog in again to continue your work, like this. Developers written code like this. Window dot relogin based on the requirement. I am using sample purpose. I am shown like this. Okay. Developers, they use the store procedures in a database level. Developers written database code using store procedures for communicating the database level. Suppose like this session, this is the user ID, create the stored procedure and pass stored procedure one user ID, it will communicate like this. See, client send request to the server, it will create one session ID and pass to the session ID here, and check what is the availability or not, check this, and check the code of the database application database through stored procedure session ID, and create one personalized page here, and send the request to the user data like this. Developers written code like this, it will secure manner like this. Okay. After this is, say, get the attribute session ID, request dot get the session or HTTP session is equal to create new session, and verify if a session is a new or not. Session dot is new, or method it will return session is new, it will return like this. Dealing with HTTP session attributes, string name attribute means string name means in the attribute consists of user name and user ID like this. In the user ID attribute have values, means user ID is equal to 1 2 3 like this. This is the values, user ID values like this. What are the session timeout, what are the last session access or not, inactive intervals like this. Developers will deal like this. After this, this is session create and destroy. This is the session is created once a request is coming to the server. See, once a request coming to the server, session is created like this. Session ID, how much time is session active, how much time session is destroy, it will mention like this. See, how much time session is created, new session or not created, how much time session is timeout, after session timeout session is closed, after the session is printed like this. After that, windows are relogin like this. Developer create like this. Developer main role here, session active and passive is there, destroy active passive, and bind the and value bound unbound means deactivated. WebSphere and HTTP session management, app server level, applied all modules in the server, applied web modules and applied specified modules. I enable session cookies like this. We will see in practicals. I have my Windows server. I will installing product in the Windows. See, CD IBM, CD WebSphere, app server, profiles, DMGR, bin, start Windows product, start manager.bat, linux.sh. Session is stored on the server level, cookie is stored on the browser level. Once the browser is closed, automatically session is destroyed, cookies is destroyed. Cookie is only 2 KB memory occupies. Okay, once browser is closed, automatically cookies is destroyed. Okay, suppose client send request to the application server, it will create session ID and pass the session ID to the cookies. Cookie is generated, and the cookie is passed to the information. Once the browser is closed, automatically cookie is destroyed, and re-login means it will generate new session ID and pass to the cookies. In the cookies, everything will be there, user ID, user information like this. Wait 2 more minutes. Once the server is started, we will log in and we will show one by one in the web container level, session management. Under session management, it will enable cookies at a database level and a memory level persistence. What is the use? We will deals like this. After this, I will show until I will explain one by one. See, this is the session timeout, 30 minutes. See, default the session ID is 30 minutes. See, maximum memory count is 1000 sessions. Enable session ID, enable cookie, enable rewrite URLs. After enable, see environment settings. See, session management. Under this cookies, this is the J session ID in the cookies. ID passed in the cookie header. I am told cookie J session ID placed on the cookie like this. What are the cookie domain? What is the domain means? ijsabank.com like this, and cookie path slash. And what is the cookie browser session, current browser session, and what is the maximum age of session like this. Everything is the browser level. This is architecture. Client send request to the application server level. It will create the session. See, it will create the session, J session ID like this. Okay, catchy. This is clone separator column. Okay, this is clone ID, J session ID, clone ID placed under the plugin cfg.xml. Plugin cfg.xml consists of J session ID, clone ID. Based on the clone ID, session ID, it will pass the request to the application server level like this. See, J session ID, counter 5, age 35, salary, session catchy. Session catchy consists of J session ID, counter like this. Each session ID consists of a catchy. In the clear the catchy, it will re-log in like this. See, session ID. Okay. In this memory server IO session timeout, set a timeout, no timeout like this. Say session timeout 30 minutes. Security integration, enable and serialization, yellow say access timeout is 5. Local session, in this local or memory session keeps session information in memory and local to the machine in WebSphere application server level where session information was first created. It will store session ID like this. Local session management doesn't share user session information to other clustered machines. Users contain only the session information. If they return the application server, only session time is stored under the WebSphere level. Cookie is stored under the browser level like this. If session data will be lost during failover, server go down and server recycle. User will be impacted during the server outage like this. Server is down. Okay, go to server is another server. If all servers is down, it will throw server outage during like this session is please wait some more time, will be recycled like this. Middleware team will taken care in these scenarios. This is distributed sessions database. Once the database is down, I will move to the another database also cluster is there. The database cluster will move. There is cluster consists of two nodes, database primary and secondary. If the primary is down, will manage the secondary automatically. Database team will take care memory to memory, the memory, and it will comes under cluster level. Once the cluster level cluster is one cluster member is down, another member pass the request to another member simultaneously. We will select memory to memory replica like this. Advantage of session persistence. External database use database persistence and the server store memory to memory replica. Say whether server is the existing request server goes down, plugin will route the request to another next available cluster member. This is nothing but round robin algorithm. See, okay, this like this. Say persistent mechanism pictorial. VAS database interaction, database persistence, VAS with VAS store, data replication like this. It will happen in the structured format. In the database side, there is a cluster is there. The cluster consists of two nodes. One is primary, one is secondary. In this also, cluster consists of three nodes. One is if anything is failover, it goes to the server and automatically cluster storage like this. Creating data persistence, create JDBC and data source, and configure data store in the session management. It will like this. None data select the database under create the JNDI system database password. It will select like this. Database persistent failover scenarios. Plugin decide send a request to the member 1 or member 2. Member 1 is failed. A request will generate to member 2, member 3 like this. See, application access session by calling request.get session method. Developer return the code like this. Request.get session and session manager create new session and store the database level. Session is stored on the database level like this. JSession ID and cookie will send back to the client. Response to the member 1 is crashed or shut down. Request response arrives in the plugins. Plugin is failover request to the next available cluster member like this. Once cluster is down, automatically cluster is like this. Session ID, the cluster member is down, server will respond to server member 2 like this. Each client request to all three application server level. If any server gone, automatically request will move to another application server simultaneously without delay, no business impact like this. Client send a request to the application server, it will say 3 roads. If any request is go down, automatically request will flow like this. This is nothing but memory failover control. See, write a frequency end service manual module and a high frequency intervals schedule session cleanup. If any session is take more memory, automatically clean up automatically like this. Low optimize the failover control like this. Custom settings used like this. Here, see, in the settings, in the distributor, in the performance tuning parameter like this. See, very high optimize the performance. High what is the frequency based 300 seconds. Write a content all session attribute scheduled session cleanup like this. Medium means write frequency end to servlet service write content only update attribute session cleanup based on the user, based on the situation. It will clean like this. Optimize low failover means one by one cleanup. Yeah, I am logging the DMJ login. I will log in the DMJ console. HTTPS localhost 9043 slash IBM slash console. My is 9056 Windows server. VAS admin. I am logging here through VAS admin. Memory replica is very key role in this session management. Cluster is pass the request to server is down, another server replica is going on here. Here my server WebSphere application server. See, this is the cluster. Okay, this is 3 members. Suppose this is the server is down, automatically request will pass the this 3 members. See, suppose this 2 is request is down, session ID passed to this member simultaneously without a delay. If production is entire down, outage will occur. This is expand this. Click web container. Here session management. See, enable session ID track or enable cookie. This is select. See, J session ID cookie domain set session cookie HTTP only prevent cross-site scripting attacks. Means suppose your session suppose your the banking domain ICICI bank, your server is not able to your server is by using cross-site scripting attack and some other scripts, some other secure purpose. We are using some other attacks purpose. We are dealing with some other security purpose. We have enabled the web server level HTTP d.conf. We are enabled the full security. Cross-site scripting and some other scripting are available based on the requirement. We have to security for your web server like this. Cross-site scripting is the one of the secure for the your website. Session management under this distribute sessions under this. See, database. See, this is the data source. Suppose DB2 is the default database. Derive with the data default database. J2C is there automatically 1 2 3. How much row size? Database 8K or 16K, 32K. Based on the scenarios, it will configure like this. Or use a multi-row scheme also there. What are the table space name? Database team will taken care of this. Memory replica. It will create. See, what are the name, what are the request timeout, what is single time replica or entire domain. We will say entire domain. I will give text cluster apply. I will do entire my domain. My domain is ICICIbank.com is my domain. See, multi-broken.xml DMJ cell. Okay, data replication domain means entire domain. Entire domain with replica. See, Domain members, we will add domain members. Okay, entire domain, see, number of replicas. Suppose we will say entire domain, or we will do entire cluster means entire number of replicas 3. We'll do like this. Review, saying based on the requirement we will change. Don't go blindly. Based on the requirement we will change like this. If you go single replica, request timeout is 5 seconds. Multi-broken.xml. If you update this multi-broken.xml file is updating. I have no members. Like this. Reset. Yes, suppose I have one application server. Web container. In this, where I usually enable URL rewriting, enable protocols, switch rewriting, also use say in memory maximum in memory session count, means memory maximum in memory session count, means replica. One at the server down, another request server will go down like this. Session timeout is default 30. No timeout we will not mention. Session timeout is default 30. We will use some other organization use 20 minutes, or some other organization use 10 minutes based on the requirement. Yellow serialization access. Session serialization means wait until session waiting time is 5 seconds. Session is waiting under the connection pool until 5 seconds. Suppose go to the application type, WebSphere application. See, I have one shopping cart application is there. See, session management also is there in this. Enable URL 1000 seconds, session timeout is default 30. Yellow serialization and security integration also is there. Okay, based on the requirement, based on the situation, we have to enable. If add property means session rewrite like this, we will use based on the property. We will add based on the errors, based on the situation. We have add properties in the custom profile, custom properties. See, this is custom tuning parameters. See, in the tuning level we will do by default write frequency, time based, write only update attribute, schedule, set a cleanup. We will use like this is failover means data means one suppose write frequency and server write content all session attribute, schedules, cleanup. One by one is cleanup. Failover means one by one. Session ID and clone ID, and this is the most important concept. See, suppose session affinity for all existing sessions, plugin send a request to the server when session data is exist in the memory or not checking. When target server is not reachable, then request fail to the another different server in the cluster. This is nothing but memory replica plugin uses clone ID information present in the server JSession ID and cookie in the incoming request and root application server level. I will see. I will take another one. Say, suppose this is okay. Create one session. It will create one session ID. Okay, it will pass here. Okay, this is session ID. Like this happened. Client send request to the HDFC bank. You will create session ID, pass to the session ID like this. This is create and this is cookies placed under this. This is like the session ID create pass the application server level. This is the client send request to the load balancer to web server to application server level through like this cookies. Okay, like this scenarios. The database, if any server down, replication will move to the another server. This is nothing but memory replica is happened in this session management database replica also is there. The database replica means one is node down, another node is an request will move to the another node simultaneously. There is two nodes available in the database and like our application server level also like this. This is like this. Plugin uses clone ID information to present the JSession ID cookie of the incoming request and route request to the application server level like this thing. Session manager encodes partition ID, JSession ID cookie. Plugin uses dynamic partition table to application server route the session IDs. Backup data. Session store memory of the application server provides same functionality of a database session persistence also. When we will select database persistent or memory to memory persistent, there is no difference to select memory to memory or database. Database means once when database is down, request move to the another node, like the failover control is achieved database level. Here memory to memory, means memory to memory persistence eliminates cost of setting up and maintaining real-time production database. It also eliminates single point of failover to occur with the database, like this DRS, data replication service, to replicate the many application server in the cluster. Data replication service means memory to memory replica cluster. Cluster consists of cluster members. There is 10 cluster members available. 5 members is down. Request will move to the other cluster member through J session ID. J session ID is placed under cookie pass request and route the response through end user within a seconds. This is dynamic, catchy and stateful sessions. DRS will take care creating the cluster before configuring DRS. Replica domain, server domain, and like this create replica domain, memory to memory. In this replica domain server, both like this P2P or client server replication, like this host of the web application send charges like backup of copies of HTTP server, hot failure over complete technology. See, like this server affinity, local database and replica domain cluster, all application server. This is the cluster setup. Okay, client server topology, either replica client only, a server only, application server configure a server, store session information. Clients to purely act as a database data store. Current cannot host any application, do not respond to user request, store sessions their own memory, provide session information to the client and user through session ID format. These servers may be started before starting the client servers. Client application send session information to replication of servers, retrieve the session from session service means client send request to the application server level. One member is down, respond to other member simultaneously without delay. Like this, user request to only sessions to users to whom they interact. Like this. HTTP session empty VAS, replica domain. What is the domain? Like the web application server include HTTP session and backup tables. See, distributed memory to memory replica. See, like this, client and server side both. Replication domain, test cluster, both client and server side. Client server side application will be like this. See? Deployment.xml file is updating. Okay, memory failover scenarios, no request arrive, plugins decides and request to the member one. Suppose member one is failed, request to send member two simultaneously without delay. Session gets replicated to other servers, cluster member 2 and member 3. Member 1 is crash arrive, server down, subsequent request same user to arrive, plugins fail to many affinities, server is not reachable. Failover request to next available server member 2. Application access to the session manager look to the session to information, retrieve the session member 2 like this. Increments catchy ID. Member 2 send the update J session ID cookies. Problem determination. Session affinities, how to enable, what are the scenarios session affinity is failing, what are the scenarios. Say affinity is maintained with the plugins, J session ID, clone ID, and affinity is like this. Check if session persistence is configured properly or not. Make sure plugin set.xml is used or not. Plugins pick up right clone ID or not. Check plugin peer-to-peer technology plugin uses dynamic partition table or not. Check. Make sure upgrade plugin in applications server update or not. New session is created. Check session ID created or not. Same client. If you act inactive intervals for a new, suppose a request is created, it is active or inactive, is checking their end. This is the session data crossover. Get session cookie, get session ID value of both users. There are two users, send request applications are available. Check session ID like this. Get a suspected session attribute or not suspected. URL is failing, request to session data swapped or not. Checking like this. Concurrent user server their WebSphere application data was swapped. Debug session cross custom property like this. Debug session statement. Suppose what are the session data lost, what are the happens. Check. Suppose if all session data lost, only certain attributes like they say implementing java.io.serialized interface. If any database persistent or related error message, check system out.system error.log or enable traces to fix the error list. If any error in the DB, check database team, check persistence configure properly on session persistence, check server tuning settings, write frequency and write the context. Session tuning means like this. This is the tuning. Check this is tuning properly configured or not. Check this. Check strong all session attributes. Custom setting is helpful. All modifications attribute strong session after calling the attributes. Checking the sessions. This is the actual structure. This is the actual structure of the data client session ID. Client send request to the server like this. Interacting like this session ID. To achieve session data recovery or all the things properly configure memory or database memory and performance tuning and if any errors session related, check system out.log system error.log enable trace for this. Okay. Check any stick session is there or any session persistence happen or not. Check through session ID pass the request and response like this. This is the main information. Okay, this is the about the session. What are the session? How to use session management is the key role in our organization. Session management is the very key role in this WebSphere application server. Okay, thank you for watching this. Okay, we will update if any issues. Okay, thank you for watching. Please subscribe the channel.